My 27F, wife, 30F, and I recently closed on our dream house and it has the family torn. Years ago my grandparents owned the family home, but when they died unexpectedly with a lot of medical debt and expenses our family had to sell their house. It was heartbreaking and sad and I decided as a small child that one day I would buy the house back. I shared those dreams with my sister. I met my wife when I was 18 and she was 21. Her parents owned a small rental that they allowed her to live in rent-free, just paying for the expenses. She invited me to live with her a year into our relationship and we got married a year after that. I told her about my dreams of owning my grandparents' house and she fully supported me. We began putting large amounts of money back for a down payment in the hopes that the house wouldn't go on the market before we could afford it. Because we didn't pay rent and both had good jobs for our ages and the economy we lived in, we were able to put back a very large sum of money. My in-laws also offered us a sum of $75,000 for the down payment and in total we put back about $185,000. About 20 years after my grandparents passed away their house finally went back on the market at a massive price. The house itself is huge with 6 bedrooms, a large lakefront estate, and several features including a pool and small guest house. We knew that this house would have a huge price tag and we skimped and budgeted for 9 years to afford my dream house. My sister was also house shopping at this time but with a much smaller budget. Her and her husband have children, student debt, and rented for the past several years and were not able to put back money in the same way my wife and I were. When our grandparents' house went on the market I sent the link to my sister and said that we were finally getting our grandparents' home back in the family. She was very excited and said as much and that was that. My wife and I moved forward, visiting with the owners and real estate agents, having it inspected, and made an offer. They accepted and we were absolutely over the moon. Throughout this whole process my sister kept saying how excited she was to have the house back in the family and how nice it will be for her children to know this house and grow up in it like her and I did. Our grandparents' house was the location of every birthday, holiday, gathering, and reunion. And my wife and I planned on making it that way again. Which was why what my sister said didn't raise any red flags. Weird that she'd phrase it that way but not concerning. We had a barbecue at my parents' house to celebrate the final closing of our house. During the dinner my mill offered to kennel our dogs while we were in the stages of moving to keep things easier and them safe and that was when my sister piped up. She asked why our dogs needed to be watched when the real issue was her kids. My wife asked what she meant and she said that her kids will need more supervision than our dogs and that she was confused as to why we'd be so busy that our dogs needed watching. I told her I was the one confused. I didn't know she was helping us move and that if her kids couldn't reliably be left to their own devices then she absolutely did not need to help us pack. My sister proceeded to ask why my wife and I would be packing. I told her the obvious, we just closed in a house? For length reasons I'll leave out a lot of the back and forth but here's the gist of it. My sister had it in her head that we were buying the house to either A, rent to own it out to her family or B, transfer the title to her name and have her pay us back in time. Yes, that is literally what she was thinking. Despite us never discussing anything like that once. When I told her that was not happening my sister threw a fit. She was pissed because this was her dream too. And that it wasn't fair that why one of us could live it. That since she had children they deserved to grow up in the family home and what did my wife and I even need all that space for? My wife told her that it isn't the family home anymore. It wasn't left in a will, we purchased it and now it is our home. And we decide what we will do with it. My sister told my wife to shut up and that she had no say in this family discussion. I informed my sister that if she spoke to my wife that way again we would not be having any kind of contact with her anymore. That she doesn't get to assume we're giving her a house and then throw a hissy fit when she's put in her place. And we left. My in-laws spoke to us on the matter a few times but all told us we were in the right and that my sister was very out of line. I assumed everyone would agree but if they did I wouldn't be on this thread. I got texts and voicemails from my parents saying that we were out of line threatening my sister. They told me they were disappointed in me for taking my sister's dream from her and that I don't have kids so I can't understand her want to provide them with a good home and childhood like she had. That it's only fair we set up a way to give her the house and that we could afford to find something else. Even my more distant relatives have said that it was cruel of us to take that from her. I'm honestly super shocked and taken aback. I've seen stories similar to this on Reddit, entitled people thinking they should get their relatives' houses, but I never expected to live it. This feels surreal and I hate that we're starting this new chapter out on such a sour note. Ada for buying my sister's dream house? Edit, wow this blew up in such a short amount of time. Thank you for your support and if this continues to be interesting and not blow over I'll definitely update. Yes this unfortunately is a real situation. And in case anyone is curious. Yes the house is big and expensive but it's severely outdated. Which is why the size and features don't exactly match the price in today's housing market. Like I don't think any owners after my grandparents renovated a single thing. Also I am a woman lol. Update 1. To those who suggested getting a security system in place, we are going to do that, but the house is not in a place where a security system can be installed. For the time being we're looking into getting some battery power trail cameras as suggested by one Redditor. I can't find your comment in the sea anymore but you know who you are. We don't have to worry about internet access and they won't be in the way of renovations. We are restoring the house back to its original glory, pre-carpeted bathrooms and mismatched wallpaper. Besides fixing broken shit and upgrading old appliances, we'll be having the floors redone, paint, wallpaper, new windows, and opening up some walls that shouldn't be there. For the next 2 weeks my wife and I will be meeting with people coming out to work on electricity, plumbing, and a few other things, and we do have a consultation with a home security company. Along with cameras, we're looking to get alarms and door codes and set up an access gate around the property. One of those that needs either a passcode or to be let in by someone in the house. We've already made an appointment to have the locks changed and aren't concerned about my family trying to squat there. My in-laws have allowed us to park their camper trailer on the property while work is being done, not only for peace of mind but to avoid commuting back and forth multiple times daily. For the actual update. I was hesitant to post this update since it's so soon after my original post, but I guess enough has happened for it to be useful information. The events of the barbecue took place last week, but I only got around to writing it all out yesterday. I sent a message to my parents and siblings yesterday evening asking to meet up to talk things through and try and figure out what's wrong and what exactly the hell is happening. Earlier today my wife and I met my parents and my brother's family at his house before my sister arrived. I let them know that if they tried to interrupt or control the conversation we would leave. I told them that I never once even suggested my sister would be allowed to rent out the house or buy it from us. That you didn't know where she got the idea from, and showed them the text strings where I first sent her the listing and every conversation where I updated her on the progress. My mom asked to see the rest of the conversations about the house and I told her there were none. She informed me that my sister told them all that we had made an agreement that my wife and I would purchase it and then rent it out to my wife's family until they'd paid enough to buy it. That we would live in the guest house and they'd get the main house. She told them that we had went back on our deal and had absolutely shattered her dreams of raising her kids in the house she grew up in. We gave our side and it wasn't difficult at all to convince my parents that we were telling the truth. With the lack of evidence on my sister's part and absolutely no legal documentation, my parents didn't even attempt to try and back up what she told them. My parents were very apologetic and let us know that they never would have said those things to us had they known the truth and that they supported us 100%. My brother was supportive of us as well, but he was never one of the people harassing us over this, so his reaction is less important. Around then my sister and her husband showed up. My Bill is a doormat and will give my sister whatever she wants, so I wasn't expecting much from him. I asked her to produce any of the necessary evidence to prove that I told her we'd rent the house out to her. That her lie was ill-conceived and that she better have a good explanation. She attempted to suggest that I had deleted the conversation, but when she couldn't produce said messages either, her story fell apart. She started crying, saying it wasn't fair that we got everything handed to us and that we didn't need a house this big and that we were rubbing our wealth in her face. So to my understanding she thought she could trick everyone into bullying us into renting our house out to her? I guess? Like some kind of fucked in the head Scooby-Doo villain? Instead of using ghosts to scare us away, she's using a fake rental agreement that she didn't even attempt to make look or sound legit. We let her know that she had a lot of apologizing to do before we'd consider having a relationship with her moving forward and that she wouldn't be welcome in our home for a long time. At the moment our relationship with my parents is rocky at best, for obvious reasons. They let us know that they're here to support us if we need moving assistance or help with renovations, but it'll take some good hard thinking to decide if we're okay with that. We will not be giving anyone in my family a spare key, but my wife's parents will receive one for emergencies. The house won't be in a state to host guests for a bit, so we are choosing to cross the "can my family be trusted" at our home bridge when we come to it. To answer some common questions I've noticed in the comments. My sister obviously has some screws loose, but my parents don't really coddle her. She's what you can consider the golden child, and the baby, but honestly most of her antics up until this point were just one-upping achievements during our childhood or seeking more attention from our parents. She's dramatic, entitled, and a little selfish, but has never displayed this level of crazy before. Yes, we will get a security system, but not for a bit. No, my family will not be trusted with a key. Yes, I am a woman. I know it's crazy, how can two women be married, lol. My wife and I do not have kids and will not have them in the future. My sister has done some odd things, but nothing as absolutely absurd as this. We will be meeting with an estate planner to put everything into writing. We plan on leaving the property to my Sil and her kids, with my Mill as the executor of our estate for the time being. My sister and her family rent a small house in town. They aren't struggling per se, they each are college educated with good jobs, but children are expensive, and then adding in student debt and $2,000 a month in rent and you aren't exactly living it up. Also, there's a surprising amount of people mad at my wife and I for being rich. We are not wealthy. My in-laws are comfortable and are generous enough to allow us to occupy their rental at no charge. They bought a new house decades ago and just didn't sell their previous one. So they allowed my wife to live there. The down payment was my wife's college fund from years ago. Her parents put money in it, but when she decided to go into a trade they kept the money and saved it specifically for the purpose of a down payment. When we told them that the house was up for sale, finally they offered the college fund they had kept for her. We worked good paying jobs but were able to save so much because we didn't have to pay $2,000 a month for housing. We did skimp and save, and we did damn well earn it. We lived below our means and spent years foregoing any kind of luxuries to afford something we wanted. So yeah, not as drama filled as a lot of people were expecting or hoping. I don't see this as the end of it, not at all, but for the time being my wife and I are focusing on dealing with our new house and not my sister. She's blocked on both our phones as of this morning and I'm not sure when I plan on unblocking her. Now on to second story. Boyfriend continually lies about trivial things, crushed me by not wanting to come on a family trip, now I feel confused and hurt. I've been with my boyfriend for 2 years now, and something I've figured out about him is that he lies constantly. It's never about something extremely important or detrimental, but always about the littlest nonsense. When we were in high school, he would constantly lie about having certain assignments done. But since we were in the same math class, it was easy to figure out that it wasn't the case. He would lie about math scores, or certain things about his schedule. He lied about sneaking into prom, and about not being a virgin. The thing is that none of these things matter to me. I don't care how good or bad he did on his tests, or sneaking into a prom, or whether or not he's a virgin or whatever. And I've never made it a point that these things mattered in the first place. Whenever I catch him in a lie, he just gets really sad, and apologizes a lot, and it turns into me apologizing to him. It's confusing because I truly don't understand why he does this, or why he thinks it's important for me to hear these lies. I don't think he has ill intentions, but if there's one thing I hate, it's when someone lies to me. I can't help but think he's lying about everything now. Other than this lying about little things, everything is perfect between us. I just can't feel like I can trust him when he does this. Maybe I'm being overdramatic, but I 20F and my boyfriend 22M have been in a relationship for just under 2.5 years. I was under the impression that his family liked me a lot, and that my family liked him a lot as well. We got back from a family vacation just 2 days ago, and I'm feeling conflicted about it now. To get to the story, my family invited my boyfriend to come on a vacation with us for 3 days out of our home state. It wasn't anything extravagant, just a small little trip where we went hiking and sightseeing etc. Me, my sister, my brother, and my boyfriend drove separate from my mom, dad, and grandparents. While we were driving my boyfriend asked my siblings if they would be uncomfortable if their SOs invited them on a trip like this. My brother said that if he had only been with them for a short time, then yeah, but given our circumstances no. Since I was the one driving I just stayed quiet. I'll be honest, it hurt my feelings a lot, but I didn't feel like it was that big of a deal. I'm quite an overthinker. When we got to the hotel we were staying at, my boyfriend just looked like he didn't want to be there, and so I asked him if he was having fun, to which he said no, I really just don't want to be here. I was honestly taken aback because I didn't really know what to say. I started to tear up and just walked away. The rest of that trip was just silence between us, and awkward conversations between him, my dad, and my mom, as they didn't realize anything was wrong. I didn't say anything to anyone, because I didn't want to ruin the mood or cut the trip short, but when we got back home I tried talking to him about it. He said that he was just shocked he got invited to something like this and that his parents also thought it was weird. I just kind of stared at him for a second because I literally didn't understand what was so weird about it. I said if he didn't want to go, or felt uncomfortable with going he didn't have to, and he just kind of shrugged. I just asked him to leave my house and we would talk later because I was so shocked and hurt that he and his family would call me and my family weird all for inviting him on a small trip with my family. I'm super close with his family and it's not like he doesn't know any of mine. Is it really weird to invite my boyfriend of 5 years to a small vacation? Update 1. To start, I seen many comments addressing a post I made a year ago. I'm not going to go too far into it as that post was a lot more dramatic and quite frankly embarrassing to me. But yes, it was about the same boyfriend, and it was about the same communication errors. I'll admit that I have attachment issues which doesn't help my situation. While I'm close with my family I don't really talk to them about relationship issues because they usually don't take it very seriously. This is just their way of lightening the mood I guess. Other than my family I don't have a very good support system, especially when it comes to my relationships. For those who told me to have a little more self-respect, thank you for that, but also be kind. You never know what people are going through. Quite frankly I don't have a lot of self-respect but for my own issues which I'm not going to talk anymore about. For the update, I spoke to my boyfriend, and it went anything other than good. I told him once again that it hurt my feelings with what he had said during the trip and to my brother, and he said it isn't as serious as I think it is. He also said that I was dragging this out when I didn't need to, which really was an eye-opener. Considering we didn't talk about it for more than maybe 30 minutes last night, and 5 minutes the day we got home, I don't think I'm dragging it out. But okay, I told him that he made me feel small. He said he was just shocked that he would get invited to something like that, and felt like a part of the family. I asked him why he said he didn't want to be there and why he asked my siblings questions like that if he was feeling happy and a part of the family, and he just said he fucked up and said dumb shit. He also told me that he's not worried about it, and hopes I get over it soon. Which, I will, but not with him by my side. A lot of people told me that coming onto Reddit was a bad idea, simply because all people would tell me is that I needed to leave him. And I should have just communicated with him. However, I feel like if I had just had this conversation without the hundreds of people telling me I wasn't crazy or reading the situation wrong, I wouldn't have decided to end things. I'm grateful to all of you who took the time to post, and you are welcome to call me dumb for not nipping this when I first knew I was unhappy. It's now my time to start healing and moving on because 500 strangers on the internet told me I deserve better, so I'm going to listen this time. Thank you guys so much for helping me. I'll try to reply to any comments on this update. I didn't reply to many comments in my last 2 posts as I wanted to collect as much of my mind as I could. Thank you guys again, much love, have a good day. A lot of my life has been lived with little people that don't treat me the best. My relationships and friendships always fell through when I was younger, and I felt like I am in a worse position now that I'm out of high school and take most of my college classes online. Not much room for meeting new people unless it's online, which slightly makes me uncomfortable when I'm looking for a casual or serious relationship. Update 2. Hi all, I know I said my last post would be my last update unless something big happens, but I feel like after reading and responding to the comments I found myself becoming bitter and emotional over the situation. This is more of just a true off my chest sort of deal, or maybe me asking how I can repair the relationship I have with myself. When I look at your comments, my heart aches with how stupid I was for spending over 2 years with someone who didn't value me. And now I'm struggling with the fact that I actually miss him, or at least miss who I thought he was. I will not go back, but I just can't help but feel like I could have saved it if I tried more. I know that's ignorant and naive, but the breakup just happened yesterday, and now I'm feeling the aftermath. I'm not sure why these feelings are coming to me now, as I'm not sure that I'm really much lonelier outside of that relationship than I was inside of it. I just wish I had more things or more people to surround myself with. I've thought about starting to go to the gym to hopefully meet new people and get myself into a schedule to fill up the time, maybe go experience some shopping therapy. I feel like it's just going to be a couple weeks of pampering myself before I feel okay enough to move on with my life. I feel like everybody needs at least a week to be disappointed and upset about how their life is going right now, lol. Anyway, thanks for listening to my rant. This is seriously my last post, and I'm going to start focusing on myself now rather than living in this disgusting situation. Thanks again. PS for those wondering how my boyfriend responded to the breakup, I actually thought he would last 2 days without trying to guilt trip me with pictures and memories of us, but just 5 minutes ago he called me and tried to get me realize my mistake. Hopefully he gets over it soon because he's kinda dragging it out. And to those who are gonna tell me to block him, I still have a lot of his things and need to return them first, after then I'll block him.